What's up everyone and welcome back to the channel. Let's start it with our first news. Islam Makhachev recently opened up about his experience training for his upcoming fight, and surprisingly, he admitted he wasn't entirely happy when Khabib Nurmagomedov decided to join his training camp. While the comment was made in a lighthearted tone, fans quickly picked up on the underlying message. The presence of Khabib, one of the most dominant figures in MMA history, always changes the energy inside the gym. Makhachev revealed that his training camp had been going smoothly and according to plan, until Khabib arrived. Everything was fine until Khabib showed up, Islam said with a grin. Though he was clearly joking, those close to both fighters know that when Khabib steps in, the level of discipline immediately rises. Makhachev described how Khabib's intensity and perfectionism transform every session into something more demanding, both physically and mentally. According to Islam, Khabib doesn't simply observe from the sidelines. The former lightweight champion is known for jumping into grappling sessions, pushing teammates to their limits, and demanding the same relentless pace that once defined his own career. When Khabib is around, there's no rest, Makhachev said. If you think you're done after one round, he'll tell you to do two more. If you slow down, he'll be the first to call you out. Despite the playful frustration in his tone, Makhachev made it clear that he deeply respects Khabib's presence and guidance. He credits much of his success to the foundation built under Khabib's leadership and the teachings of Khabib's late father, Abdulmanap Nurmagomedov. The Dagestani team has always operated like a family, with Khabib taking on a mentor and coaching role since his retirement in 2020. Makhachev explained that training with Khabib brings out his best version, even if it means enduring tougher days in the gym. He pushes everyone harder than they want to go, but that's why we win, Islam said. Sometimes I get tired of hearing his voice, but I know he's doing it for me. The reigning UFC lightweight champion also emphasized how much Khabib's strategic input matters when preparing for opponents. Whether it's breaking down fight footage or adjusting game plans, Khabib's attention to detail ensures that no weakness goes unnoticed. Makhachev acknowledged that having someone who's been at the top of the sport and defended the same belt is invaluable. In the end, Makhachev laughed off his earlier comment, admitting that while Khabib's arrival made training tougher, it also made it better. It's like having an older brother who never lets you relax, he said. You might not be happy when he shows up, but when the fight comes, you're grateful he did. Before we jump into the next story, we have a small favor to ask. If you're enjoying the content, please give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and tap the bell icon. It really helps us out, and ensures you'll never miss an update. Moving on to another news. Dan Hooker has never been one to shy away from speaking his mind, and ahead of his highly anticipated clash with Tsarukyan, the New Zealand lightweight is once again making headlines. In a recent interview with Sky Sports, Hooker revealed exactly why this fight excites him, and why he sees Tsarukyan as the perfect opponent to test his skills and elevate his career. For weeks, Hooker has made it clear that he doesn't have much love for Tsarukyan. Their rivalry has been brewing online and behind the scenes, and the tension is expected to boil over during fight week. Hooker even joked that if he runs into Tsarukyan before their scheduled bout, things could get heated quickly. But beyond the personal animosity, Hooker explained that this fight represents something much deeper, a chance to silence critics and expose what he believes is an overhyped contender. This fight excites me because people think he's a lot better than I am, Hooker said confidently. That's why I love it so much. Every time I do something good in there, it's going to make him look foolish. He's supposed to be the super athlete, the next big title contender, the guy who was meant to beat Ilia Topuria. Everyone's been protecting the champion from him. That's the story they tell. But now, he's fighting me, Dan Hooker, the guy from New Zealand who's lost a third of his fights. When I beat him, that whole story collapses. Hooker sees the matchup as a major turning point, not only for himself but also for Tsarukyan. He believes all the pressure lies on his opponent's shoulders, and that could be a dangerous place for a young fighter. He's the one who has something to prove, Hooker continued. That's a difficult position to be in. When all eyes are on you to perform, that's when things start to fall apart. The stakes couldn't be higher for either man. Tsarukyan, currently ranked number 2 in the lightweight division, hasn't fought since his controversial withdrawal from a scheduled bout with Islam Makhachev earlier this year. Hooker, on the other hand, is riding a strong 3-fight win streak and feels that a victory here could finally earn him a long-awaited title shot. Hooker also addressed why a potential fight with Justin Gaethje, something fans have long hoped for, isn't currently on his radar. Justin Gaethje isn't the guy that gets me to the belt, Hooker said. He just gets me a headache. Tsarukyan is the path to the title. That's the path to becoming the best. That's the path to being champion. As the fight date approaches, Hooker's confidence and fire are unmistakable. He's embracing the underdog role and seems determined to prove that experience, grit, and self-belief can overcome hype, especially when the stakes are this high. Moving on to another news, UFC President Dana White is never one to hold back his thoughts, and during a recent live stream appearance with online personality Nina Drama, he once again proved why he remains one of the most outspoken figures in all of sports. What started as a casual Q&A session quickly turned into a classic Dana White moment after a fan questioned the quality of upcoming UFC events. During the stream, a viewer asked White, "Why is tomorrow's and next week's UFC so bad?" The question immediately caught Dana's attention, and his reaction was exactly what fans have come to expect from him. Rather than ignoring or brushing it off, White fired back sharply, defending both the UFC product and the athletes who put their bodies on the line every week. "Well, let me ask you a question," Dana said with his trademark intensity. "How's it bad when it hasn't even happened yet? Watch it tomorrow, and if it's bad, then tell me it's bad. Until then, shut the hell up." His blunt response quickly spread across social media, with fans divided, some applauding his fiery honesty, while others criticized his tone. But for those familiar with Dana White's leadership style, it was nothing new. He's built a reputation on being direct, unfiltered, and fiercely protective of the UFC brand. Dana went on to elaborate that fans often underestimate the level of competition and storylines behind every fight card. He pointed out that even events without major superstars often deliver incredible performances, unexpected finishes, and new breakout stars. "Every time people say a card looks weak, it ends up being one of the best nights of fights," White added. "That's the beauty of the sport, you never know what's going to happen when the Octagon door closes." This isn't the first time White has publicly pushed back against criticism of the UFC's event lineup. Over the years, he has frequently reminded fans that the organization runs nearly every week, which means not every card can feature multiple title fights or big-name headliners. Still, he maintains that every fighter on the roster is there for a reason, and that fans who truly love the sport will always find something to appreciate. As the clip from the live stream continues to circulate, it once again highlights Dana White's no-nonsense approach to dealing with critics. Whether it's media scrutiny, fan complaints, or fighter disagreements, he's always ready to stand his ground and defend the UFC. In true Dana fashion, his message was clear: don't judge a fight card before it happens. Watch the show first, then decide. Moving on to another news, former UFC welterweight champion Kamaru Usman recently weighed in on a potential matchup that has the MMA world buzzing, a future clash between himself and rising featherweight superstar Ilia Topuria. With UFC 322 just weeks away, where Islam Makhachev will defend his welterweight title against Jack Della Maddalena, speculation about Topuria's next move has reached an all-time high. The Georgian-Spanish knockout artist has openly teased the idea of moving up in weight to chase double champ status, and that could eventually place him in the same division as Usman. Speaking on the latest episode of the Pound for Pound podcast, Usman addressed the growing talks surrounding Topuria's potential move to welterweight. He acknowledged that while it's still hypothetical, the scenario isn't far-fetched given Topuria's meteoric rise and star power. "Ilia's doing incredible things right now," Usman said. "He's confident, he's young, and he's looking to make history. But if he does move up, it's not because he wants to take over the division, it's because he's chasing specific fights." Usman elaborated that Topuria's motivation isn't necessarily about dominating multiple weight classes long-term, but rather about securing high-profile matchups that elevate his legacy. "If Islam Makhachev is the champion when Ilia moves up, that's the fight he'll go after," Usman explained. "He's not chasing the division, he's chasing the challenge. That's the kind of fighter he is. Whether Islam is fighting, winning, or even taking time off, Ilia will find him. That's the guy he wants." Despite his respect for Topuria's ambitions, Usman was realistic about the potential matchup and the physical differences between weight classes. He noted that welterweight is stacked with big, powerful athletes, and it might not be an easy transition for a smaller fighter. "If Ilia does win a belt at 170, I honestly don't think he'd stay there," Usman said. "Why would he want to stick around and fight these big, dangerous guys every time? It would probably be a one-off, come up, win the belt, make history, and move back down. That's smart business." Usman also questioned whether the UFC would even support such a temporary move. "The UFC doesn't really like it when fighters just come in, grab a title, and take off," he noted. "They want champions who defend their belts and help build divisions." As for his own future, Usman revealed that his next opponent will likely be either Islam Makhachev or Jack Della Maddalena, depending on how UFC UFC 322 plays out. He hinted that he might even face the loser of that fight if the timing works out better. Regardless of how things unfold, Usman remains focused and hungry to reclaim gold. And while a clash with Topuria isn't on the immediate horizon, his comments make one thing clear: if the UFC ever books that matchup, it would be a massive event with serious implications for both men's legacies. Moving on to another news, Khamzat Chimaev is once again at the center of conversation in the MMA world after a frank segment on the Jackson podcast featuring Rampage Jackson, TJ Dillashaw and Bobby Green. The panel did not hold back in criticizing what they described as Chimaev's conservative, boring approach inside the cage, a style that, while effective, has provoked frustration among fighters and fans who prefer more explosive finishes. The discussion underscores a recurring tension in modern MMA, the balance between winning strategically and entertaining the paying audience. On the podcast, both Dillashaw and Green acknowledged Chimaev's clear dominance and elite skill set, but they argued there is a difference between securing victory and delivering an exciting performance. For fighters who built reputations on highlight reel finishes, the preference is obvious: risk more to create moments that live on in highlight packages and grow a star's marketability. As one panelist put it, fighters in some markets can fight safe and still maintain superstar status because they carry the backing of entire countries, luxury some American fighters do not enjoy when building a crossover profile. Beyond the TV pundits, criticism of Chimaev's training methods has also surfaced from established coaches. Glover Teixeira, who works closely with former champions and elite strikers, publicly questioned Chimaev's sparring intensity, suggesting the champion sometimes goes disproportionately hard on less experienced training partners. Teixeira framed his remarks with respect for Chimaev's talents but expressed concern over the potential for damaging sparring practices that some see as crossing a line. Those comments add another layer to the debate, not just how Chimaev fights on fight night but how he prepares behind closed doors. Bloody elbow +1. Despite the critique, there's no dispute about Chimaev's status inside the sport. He recently claimed the UFC middleweight title and is expected to defend it against top contenders in the coming months, matchups that will test whether his methodical style can coexist with the expectations of fans and pundits who want action. One of the names most frequently linked to a potential title opportunity is Nassourdine Imavov, who has been vocal about earning a shot at the belt. Imavov's recent performances and public calls for a title fight have positioned him as a logical next in line. In short, the conversation around Chimaev is multifaceted. Analysts and fighters criticize the entertainment value of his approach even as coaches raise questions about his sparring conduct, while the championship narrative continues to move forward. The coming title defenses will offer the clearest verdict: will Chimaev maintain his dominance under scrutiny, or will mounting criticism reshape how fans and insiders view one of the sport's most polarizing figures? Moving on to another news, as UFC 322 draws closer, anticipation is building for one of the most intriguing matchups of the year: Islam Makhachev vs Jack Della Maddalena for the welterweight championship. Despite being viewed as a sizable underdog by oddsmakers, Della Maddalena has quietly built momentum among fans and fighters who believe he has what it takes to dethrone one of the sport's most dominant champions. Islam Makhachev, long regarded as one of the best grapplers in MMA history, is making the move up to welterweight after conquering the lightweight division. His wrestling, suffocating top control, and submission prowess have overwhelmed nearly every opponent he's faced. Yet, as the fight nears, a surprising number of fighters are publicly backing Della Maddalena to pull off the upset. UFC veterans like Sean Brady and former middleweight champion Robert Whittaker have openly predicted that Della Maddalena will retain his title on November 15. Most recently, bantamweight contender Mario Bautista appeared on the Tim Welch podcast and added his name to that growing list, albeit cautiously. "I'm going with Jack on this one," Bautista said. "Someone's got to beat one of those guys eventually. My heart says Jack, but we'll see. It depends if Islam's size and strength carry over to 170. One of the key arguments fueling support for Della Maddalena is his impressive championship performance against Bilal Muhammad earlier this year. In that bout, Jack's defensive wrestling, balance, and ability to stay composed under pressure were on full display. Muhammad, known for his relentless grappling, struggled to impose his game plan. Many analysts believe those same defensive skills could neutralize Makhachev's takedown-heavy approach. Jorge Masvidal, in a recent discussion with Henry Cejudo, echoed that sentiment. "Islam is a nightmare on the ground," Masvidal said. "Nobody has better control or submissions. He's a real-life problem once it hits the mat. But Jack's got serious serious defensive wrestling. He's athletic, hard to hold down, and showed that against Bilal. If he can keep the fight standing, it could get interesting fast. Of course, one of Makhachev's greatest advantages has always been his connection to Khabib Nurmagomedov. The two lifelong friends share not only a training background but also a mindset built on dominance and discipline. Recently, footage surfaced of Khabib joining Islam's camp in the United States to oversee the final stages of preparation, a familiar and reassuring sight for fans of the Dagestani champion. Still, questions remain. Can Makhachev's wrestling and ground game translate effectively at a higher weight class against a naturally bigger, sharper striker like Della Maddalena, or will Jack's precise boxing and takedown defense expose Islam's limits at 170 pounds? As UFC 322 approaches, the debate intensifies. Whether it ends in another chapter of Dagestani dominance or the rise of a new star, one thing is certain: this fight has all the ingredients to become an instant classic.